What if your destiny was stolen before you even knew what it was? Princess Althea, her ceremonial gown torn, flees through a twisted forest, moonlight barely piercing the gnarled branches above. But the look in her eyes isn't just fear, it's the shocking dawn of understanding. Just days before, her life was, well, boring. He'd point to maps, talking about trade routes and political alliances, all the safe, predictable duties of a future queen. But behind them, unseen and ignored, a story was already woven into an ancient tapestry. It depicted a princess, glowing with power, standing firm against a swirling darkness. A prophecy, quite literally, hanging in the background of her life, completely overlooked. Lanterns were being hung, the air filled with anticipation for a night of celebration. But then, a shadow fell over the castle walls. It wasn't clouds. It was a creeping, magical darkness that began to swallow the light. One by one, the festive lanterns flickered and died. From her chamber window, Althea watched the unnatural night descend. Where her fingertip met the pane, a delicate frost pattern bloomed, a tiny hint of a power she never knew she possessed. When she turned from the window, he was already there. This was Malcor. There was no struggle, no fight. He simply extended a hand, and as he did, Althea's world dissolved into a whirlwind of dark light and shadow. King Edry stood shattered in the castle courtyard, staring at the silver leaf pendant lying in his palm. But now, it burned with a cold, blue flame, a beacon of dark magic. In the background, a stable door creaked open. It was Kale, a young stable hand, his hands calloused from work. He saw the king's utter despair, and his eyes drifted to the dark, forbidding line of the whispering mountains on the horizon. In that moment, a decision was made. With a face set in terrified determination, he saddled the fastest horse in the royal stables. Sometimes, the world isn't saved by kings, but by those who know the way. Kale rode hard, pushing his horse into the Blackwood Forest, the last known direction of the shadow. But this was no ordinary forest. The path itself seemed alive, twisting and reforming right before his eyes. Trees groaned as their roots shifted, blocking his way, turning him around until he was hopelessly lost. The air grew colder, the gloom deeper. As his horse reared in panic, Kale felt a pulsing warmth from his pouch. The cold blue flame was now a steady, guiding light. Trusting his gut, he dismounted and followed it on foot, leading his horse deeper into the strange, unwelcoming woods. Exhausted and parched, he finally reached a glacial lake, its water unnaturally still. Her name was Ilara, a warrior with leaves woven into her hair and eyes that held the cynicism of someone who had seen too much of the world's darkness. As she spoke, the water of the lake rippled, not from the wind, but from a dark magic. Distorted images of shadowy pursuers swirled just beneath the surface, hunting him. Ilara, a guardian of these ancient lands, saw that Kale was not the cause of the corruption, but was somehow tied to its solution. Reluctantly, she agreed to guide him. Their journey together was treacherous. Kale, a boy from the flat castle grounds, was completely out of his element. He nearly stepped on a beautiful flower that snapped shut like a bear trap, only for Ilara to yank him back at the last second. They hid in the hollow of a fallen log as a monstrous stag, corrupted and made of rotting bark, stomped past, its presence poisoning the very air. Through shared danger and silent moments by the campfire, a look of understanding, of grudging respect, began to form between the cynical warrior and the determined stable boy. Their path led them to the Cave of Echoes, a place where doubts were given a voice. They told him he would fail. In his pouch, the silver leaf's glow flickered, almost dying out completely. But then, a new vision pierced through the despair. Althea. She was looking right at him, a brave, reassuring smile on her face. And what of the princess? Althea was indeed a prisoner, held in a graceful cage made of glowing crystal. But she was not weeping or waiting for rescue. She sat calmly, her hand placed flat against the cold stone floor. She was listening, not with her ears, but with that nascent power she'd only just discovered. And in response, a tiny, vibrant green vine grew through a crack in the stone, curling around her finger. Her eyes, once the color of a summer sky, now began to glow with the same deep green light as the forest. In the same chamber, Malcor, now more a being of pure energy than a man, drew power from her crystal prison. He monologued about his grand plans, about eternity and reshaping the world. But Althea wasn't listening to him. She looked past him, through the crystal walls, as if she could see the entire mountain. She could feel two small sparks of courage and hope making their way toward her. She had a plan of her own. Kale and Ilara had to scale sheer cliffs under a sky crackling with violent energy. Ilara, using her deep connection to nature, slammed her hands against the rock face, willing roots to grow and burst forth, creating handholds for them. Kale, using the agility and balance he'd learned from years of working with horses, leaped across a collapsing stone bridge, just as it crumbled into the chasm below. At the peak, the sky was a swirling vortex of stars and dark energy, all converging on a single point. In the center of a massive, glowing rune carved into the mountaintop, Althea floated, trapped in the eye of the storm. Malcor, now just a silhouette of raw power, was channeling the celestial alignment, pulling its energy into himself. Just as the ritual reached its climax, Kale and Ilara burst onto the scene, ready for the final confrontation. But Kale didn't attack. Instead, he shouted Althea's name, not as a princess, but as his childhood friend. He reminded her of games they played in the castle gardens, of shared secrets and laughter. For a split second, the torrent of dark energy faltered. That was the opening Ilara needed. She slammed her hands on the ground, not to create handholds, but to call the mountain itself to fight. Giant roots and massive stones erupted from the earth, cracking the ritual rune and shattering Malcor's concentration. Her eyes flew open, glowing with pure, brilliant green light. She embraced it. With a calm grace, she gathered the vortex of power and gently, deliberately, pushed it downward. Not away, but into the mountain, into the cracks Ilara had made, healing the wound in the earth. A wave of pure cleansing light radiated from her, washing over the peak, down the mountainsides, and through the blackwood forest. In the center of the faded rune, Malcor was revealed for what he truly was, a frail, confused old man, his power gone. Althea landed softly on the ground, and Kale was there to catch her. The trio returned to the castle as heroes. King Idrik ran from the gates to embrace his daughter, but he stopped short. He saw Kale, no longer a boy who worked in the stables, but a guardian standing steady and proud. He saw Ilara, the wild guardian of the forest, offering a respectful nod to his daughter. Her equal. He bowed, not just to his daughter the princess, but to all three of them. In the end, peace returned, but nothing was the same. Althea Naquin in training didn't just study maps. She tended to a magical garden, her hands in the soil, connected to the life of her kingdom. Kale, now a royal guardian, trained the king's knights, his quiet strength an example to all. And Ilara became a frequent visitor, bringing news from the healed forest, a bridge between the world of humans and the wild. If this journey moved you, give this video a like and explore more free, Full-length stories on Bedtime.